Alright guys, welcome back to Valorant News. The Challengers qualifiers have almost concluded. Stewie2K's Team the Nation out of the qualifiers in a pretty shocking upset last night, all things considered. Zombs also revealing though that he believes their team, the Untamable Beast with Sinatraa, could have qualified if they actually tried really hard to make it happen. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. Plenty of updates to dive into for you guys today. Firstly, on the tier 1 side, FNS says good luck in the future. Someone lost a scrim, says Ethan. Now, we saw yesterday that there was this scrim going on between NRG and the Guard, where the Guard were up 11-2 in that particular scrim set. Now, the Guard looked to me like a very scary team in tier 2. If I had to choose one organization that I hope makes it through Ascension, it might be the Guard right now, because I actually feel like out of all the orgs, they probably deserved it the first time around. They, of course, didn't make it in, neither did OpTic, of course. Obviously, they deserved it, I suppose, more than the Guard did. But, yeah, I don't know. I thought the Guard did a great job. They didn't get selected for partnerships. They've built a great team. I'm surprised, honestly, some of their players haven't been poached elsewhere. We'll even discuss here in a second that Trent to Sentinels might have been an opportunity that wasn't going to happen. And apparently the Guard have been looking very good indeed. They presumably take down NRG the other day. And also, as Mike says, the coach of 100 Thieves, I'm putting everything I own on the Guard winning it all this year. So clearly, you know, there's been some sort of scrims going on there between 100 Thieves and the Guard, and also the Guard looking very good. So, you know, we'll see how it goes when they do get to challenges. But right now, G2, the Guard, probably the two stand-ups in terms of performances, I would say, in tier 2, but only one of them, and that's the entire of the Americas Challengers region, can qualify through for Ascension. And even just this from George Geddes, suggesting that Trent was wanted by Sentinels, and it never happened. So either the Guard said no, or maybe there was, you know, the negotiations broke down for whatever reason. They then decided to go a different way with their initiator, go down the Brazilian route to round out the team. Understandable, but yeah, I'm just surprised that no one went after Trent super hard, because he's just unbelievably good, and he was so good last season, and yet he's still in tier 2 without really a tier 1 contract. Bit of a surprise, but I'm sure the Guard are paying him a fair bit of money as well, so I'm sure he's doing okay. And also, Sentinels Zelsis was a possibility. They wanted him, but that didn't happen. Maybe understandable, because he's got his boys over at Cloud9, but yeah, just some interesting insight on what was happening in that rostermania period with some players that Sentinels maybe tried to get, could potentially have got if they tried a bit harder, but eventually settled on a roster that also should be rather good. But yeah, many are scared of Trent and the Guard with their performance right now, and understandable after they just took down the victory at the Ludwig Tarek Invitational last weekend. Even this from Sassy, speaking of the Sentinels team, don't even know what to say about NA ranked. I know some of the replies were saying, like, don't even bother, to be honest, because it's just not worth your time. And I'm sure many most certainly echo that opinion. Let's talk about the Challenger side then. So first of all, there was an interesting thing last night though. The Wise Men, they even got Leo Farrier on talking about exactly how it worked on the Riot support side of the partner teams, but also Sean Gares was giving some very interesting thoughts on the state of the Nation team and how they were going to struggle going into their last set of matches. Because, I mean, it's actually a very interesting point he makes. The Nation and these other teams, the longer they survive in the tournament, especially because the Nation also played in the last qualifier as well, there is so much VOD of that team. All the main broadcasts, they love to stream the matches of the most popular teams. It's understandable, it makes sense, it's not exactly a massive surprise, but nonetheless, it does mean that for teams like Sonics, that, you know, okay, they're a salary team, but they don't exactly have a massive presence. They get so much information from what the Nation like to do that as they get further and further in the tournament, it culminates to a rather mega advantage. There's also some comments from Stewie2K after they go down to Sonics last night, and even from Zombs suggesting that their team Untamable Beasts probably could, in his opinion, have won the qualifier if they actually committed and actually tried.
I want them to qualify too, but they definitely have their backs against the wall, because Spencer can probably agree with this. When you're on these teams that have like the notoriety, like 100 Thieves, and this happened to us in the open qualifiers, and it probably happened to Spencer too when he was on 100 Thieves, all of your games are streamed, all of them, because the TOs bleed you for those views. Like they just, they need those views. So if you look at all of the Nation's games, they're all streamed. But then if you go and look at their opponent for this next matchup, Sonics, none of their games are streamed. I just checked, not a single one. So like they have 0 VODs to work with, but Sonics could literally have a database of everything Stewie likes to do in the 18 games of bind that he's played in matches in the last 2 weeks. You know, like that's a huge advantage for the people going against the Nation. That it doesn't get talked about enough in these like challenger brackets and like open.
Yeah, we probably could have qualified for this. Be like full tryharded. Even with the same roster.
2 days of practice. Maybe like 2 hours of just like reviewing some
No,
executes
like
or
no
something.
practice, but just like tryharding.
Ah.
Like if everybody was like serious about like trying to qualify or something.
The spike is planted. Sonic's finally in a position where numbers no longer a factor.
Are there like no more like chances of even like making Ascension at this point? Oh, that's
No, this is it.
They're gonna go hand in hand, but they're gonna be met by Mina first.
Everyone loses in life, bro.
Hell yeah.
I just don't lose as much as others. Dude, we're losers, bro. How's it feel, Rossi? How's it feel to lose today, man? Like, be honest, bro. Let it out there. Tell the people, man.
I told, like I said the same thing to you in private. I said, look, we tried our best. It is what it is. Obviously, it sucks to lose, but everything
It's all
happens
a
for a
part
reason,
of
you know?
it's all a part of the game, man. Some
Yeah.
make it and some just don't. But you bet mama I'm gonna be there one day, bro. Bro, I'm not gonna lie. When we lost today, it's been a minute since I competed, and it hit me. There were so many throwing rounds. Sad. Yeah. What can we do, man? We only practiced 2 weeks, man. Like we didn't get so much time to practice with the 5 that we wanted, so we did the best we can with the time that we had. I'm glad we got to showcase how good we really are. I mean, I'm just happy for most of these guys, honestly.
How you feel though, man, about our loss? Because you asked me, I didn't ask you.
Low key, when it hit me, it hit a soft spot when we lost.
Really?
A little bit, yeah. All my hard work, bro.
Spike
What did I do it for?
One enemy
And now,
remaining.
So firstly, I did think this was kind of funny from Zombs because it's just oh so predictable, isn't it, right? That the guys were saying, oh, you know, we weren't even trying in the first place. And then when they eventually lose, it's easy to say, oh, you know, well, if we'd have just tried, they would have made it. It would have been nice to see, like, if they'd have been fully committed because, like, if they actually committed to making a team, a legitimate team that wasn't just trolling. Now, don't get me wrong, the content was fantastic. But there's obviously, like, Zombs individually was playing great. Obviously, Marved is Marved, Sinatraa is Sinatraa. Like, they obviously had the talent to make it. Now, whether they really wanted, like, obviously they didn't really want to, which is the thing. Is certainly Zombs didn't really want to make it, which is understandable at the end of the day. So it's understandable why they didn't. Which is understandable at the end of the day. But still, it would have been interesting if they'd have actually given it a proper go. You know, maybe not had Prod on the team, for example, inside like an actual proper player and had some more practice. They'd have been okay. Because, I mean, look, at the end of the day, they did pretty well, all things considered. The Nation are talking about, and Stu2K saying, oh, you know, we only had 2 weeks of practice. What do you expect us to do? These guys didn't really do any practice at all. They just came in doing random compositions and still made it quite deep in the tournament, to be honest, all things considered. You know, made it through the qualifiers, made it to, you know, beyond top 32 at the very least. So this was the result last night on the Nation side. The other kind of clout team that goes down to Sonics. They played Sonics before. The rematch curse gets them again. And yeah, so Wardell, Rossi, Tig, Stewie, and Brax. Brax had a pretty tough series here, all things considered, to be honest. Breeze was 13-8 for them. And Bind was painful, man. Honestly, I can't believe the way they were choking some of these rounds. It was just tragic. Some of their offensive holes just didn't really exist. And there were plenty of rounds that they should have won, could have won, but didn't win. And they go down in the end. So Sonics take them down. And fair play to Sonics because there was a lot of drama about this team. The fact that they failed to perform at the first qualifier. They now went down to the losers bracket quite early in the second qualifier. But they are just one series away from qualifying for Challengers, which would be a great result for them if they can achieve it. But yeah, what next for Stewie2K and also the other guys? You do have to wonder here because Tier 2 is obviously pretty stacked already. There are certain teams in Tier 2, though, that don't have the biggest names on them. And there's definitely an argument to say that those teams, when they get signed, already have been signed by bigger organizations, will be looking for other players to join them. Because just because these guys didn't qualify for Challengers doesn't necessarily mean they won't be appearing there, but they're just going to have to get picked up by another organization. The likes of Wardell, like he individually I thought played very well here. Stewie2K wasn't particularly fantastic, but it's not exactly a massive surprise given he's relatively new to Valorant competitive. Brax as well, damn, I'm horrible, he says. Not sure if I'll continue playing Valorant, so that's kind of unfortunate to see for him. And as Stewie says, I had a great time competing, a lot of love to the boys, appreciate the opportunity they gave me with a short span of time, thanks for all the support. Going on to say, like, we're so close to crossing the finish line, they probably should have qualified the first time around, to be honest. They eventually go down, and now, as Sean Gare says, there's so much VOD on them that, they do have a harder time as the tournament progresses. Wish I could have performed a bit better, but till next time, he says. What does this mean for Stewie? We did see some rumors the other day that he's got offers in Valorant and also in Counter-Strike as well, so we might go back to CS, but there's probably other tier 2 teams, like given he's Stewie 2K, there will be tier 2 teams that want him, just because, you know, why not? So you've only got to get top 8 as a team in Challengers to make it to the playoffs anyway. Why not sign Stewie, even if he isn't the greatest player in the world? You get all the clout, which is, you know, understandable. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting question for you guys to answer in the comments below. What do you think happens to the rest of these guys? Rossi as well, like obviously formerly TSM, TIG. There's so many talented players that are missing out here on qualification, and if they do want to take it seriously to compete, then I'm sure tier 2 teams will be looking at potential offers. Whether that means Stewie 2K is going to come through, I'm not so sure, but if he wants to, there will probably be some offer or another on the table. But also this from Victor thought was a good point. Truly feel for the tier 2 scene. I don't know what the plans are, but hopefully the rest of the year isn't just a break and there are events and tournaments to play in. Reminds me of how I felt when ESL removed a bunch of teams from the Pro League, mine included. You can understand this from Victor, right? Because of course on NRG, a lot of these guys that fail to qualify now, that is their season done. As I say, some of these players, the bigger name ones, might get signed by other tier 2 teams that want to make roster changes, but there really isn't anything else to do. There's no mid-season play-in. This is the issue. It's the same thing that happened last year, really. These 12 teams that will qualify, the final couple of which will be determined over the next day or so, those are the 12 teams in Challengers for the whole season. There's nothing more to do for a lot of these guys until next season, right? You'd think that what would make sense is a mid-season promotion relegation. The worst teams can go down, some of the better teams can go up. They haven't done that, and it means that for a lot of these guys, the season is just over for them, and Victor's kind of saying how, okay, the tier 2 scene is well supported, there's lots of interest in the tier 2 scene, but the format from the qualification from, I guess, tier 3 to tier 2 is not maybe the best way it could possibly be. And even as Jovi says, former analyst for 100 Thieves, think he got signed recently somewhere or another, how does some of these teams make it to top 8 in Challengers potentially qualifying? Basically saying that some of these teams he's seeing potentially qualifying are absolutely terrible, and how they're actually pulling this off. So, I mean, yeah, maybe some bigger names that were expected to qualify didn't, and now some unknown quantities will get their chance, and it's good to see it happening. So this is the other final today, Squirtle Squad versus OR Esports. I don't know who to pick in this one. I'd love to say Squirtle Squad, but I actually think that, you know, OR Esports have impressed me a fair bit with the brief stuff that I've seen from them. And then the losers bracket, we did get Sonics making the losers bracket run, taking out the Nation, taking out Nearest Airport, and they find themselves in the lower final, and that goes on tomorrow. So yeah, tonight one team will be determined here between these two, and then tomorrow Sonics versus the loser will determine the final team qualifying for Challengers. So very much enjoyed your thoughts on all this stuff in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.